Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We are a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and Khalid Hussein is not currently with me, but he is featured in the forthcoming episode that will be airing after my introduction here. Wanted to shout out what we're doing just a little bit before we dig into it. We actually have 3 guests on this episode and 1 returning guest. Mischo is actually returning to the show. He was previously on back in December of 2023 on episode 79 on the Broodlings from The Brood, from the David Cronenberg movie. Joe was a super fun guest. We loved having him on, and he was gracious enough to come back and chat about his new short film that is currently doing a festival run. We have 3 creatives, including Joe, from the short film. The film is called Jade, and we get to chat about the process of making the film, the inspirations behind it, hopes for the future, and all that. It was a really cool and enlightening conversation to actually talk with creatives about the product that they created. We get to do that occasionally on the podcast, but a lot of times we're talking about, things that other people made. So it's a really special treat to get to do something like this. So I hope that you enjoy this interview with Joe. Also joining us are a couple other creatives from the project, Matt Hoodhood and Erin Kobrin, who both worked on Jade as well. So without further ado, here is our Frankenstein's podcast episode about Jade.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
All right, welcome back to the podcast, Joe.
Thanks, other Joe.
It's great to chat with you again. I'm really excited that you're bringing your project back to us after we chatted about another movie.
Oh my God. Yeah, appreciate you guys having all of us on here and very excited to chat.
Yeah, and that's a good segue to bring in our other 2 guests who are also part of this film. I'm going to bring in Matt Hoodhood, who was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where his fascination with light began. He studied cinematography at Columbia College, Chicago, has been living in Los Angeles since 2014, where he enjoys the great outdoors, playing folk music on the banjo, and photography. Welcome, Matt.
Hello, thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
I need to hear you play the banjo sometime.
Absolutely. I should have brought it. Had I known
gosh,
there would be a banjo segment, I would have done it,
I mean, we have one every episode.
Yeah.
We should have told you.
Yeah. I'm really bad at coordinating guests. That's usually your territory. So
Next time.
Sorry to the listeners at home. No banjo segment this time.
Or you're welcome, because I'm not that good.
So Matt, tell me, your role on the film was cinematographer?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to dig into this one with you guys. We do have one more guest, though, everybody. Let's bring in our final guest here. Last but certainly not least, Erin Kobrin is a Los Angeles-based wardrobe stylist and costume designer known for crafting distinctive looks across fashion campaigns, editorials, music projects, and narrative storytelling. Drawing inspiration from the visionary artistry of Colleen Atwood and the rebellious elegance of Vivienne Westwood, Erin brings a bold and imaginative perspective to every project. Her work seamlessly blends creativity and precision, delivering unforgettable style that captivates and resonates. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Great bios. Holy crap.
Wow.
Oh, that was great. I mean, you guys, like, all 3 of you, like, the stuff that's, like, on your bio, like, just, it gives me a run for my money from my, like, podcasting voice, and I appreciate it.
I think you did a great job.
You're earning that paycheck, Joe.
All 0 of it. Yeah. So Erin, I'm guessing based on your bio, you were part of the wardrobe, like, of the movie, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm the costume designer.
Costume designer is the correct term. Thank you.
Costuma.
Cool. Well, this is going to be a fun one. So thank you all 3 of you for joining us. This is kind of exciting. We do sometimes get to talk to creatives on the podcast, like people who've been involved in the movies, but it's not always the most common thing that we get to do, like talk about a movie with the people that made it. So that's like a special privilege for us that I feel like we're finally earning our keep here on Frankenstein's podcast.
Hell yeah.
Have we not been earning our keep?
I mean, 100 episodes in, maybe. Finally happening.
Yeah, those are all practice reps. This is the real go.
We're finally there. So we're all here, and I know Khalid usually does the
synopsis.
Synopsis. Thanks for words, Khalid.
Yeah.
Words are hard. But I got the synopsis here, and I really liked it. It's from the screener that you guys sent us. It's I'm gonna read it. It's the film is called Jade. It's 15 minutes almost exactly. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's cool. So it's the synopsis is as follows: when a college dropout buys the motorcycle of his dreams, he awakens something sinister and sensual. And I like that. It's such a great synopsis. Like, I mean, it's a great like detail of like what's going on in the movie. But I love that. Like, just if I read that tagline, I'm like, I'm sold.
You're weird.
I'm super. I mean, you got 100 episodes to find out that, but yeah, that's true. So, okay. So we heard a little bit about each of your roles in the movie, but before we like ask you guys questions about like your own like thing, your own creative project, I just kind of want to ask Khalid, you kind of set all this up. Like, you worked a little bit on this too, right?
Yeah, I did the days where we were on location in like the garage. So I helped out with that and was officially credited as script supervisor. Don't know how much of that I had to do that day. It was a lot of just motorcycle fucking, spoiler alert.
Oh yeah.
But no, it was a great time. I was honored to be asked to help on the project. And I mean, I knew as soon as we like were talking about making it that eventually we'd have to just bring Joe and the gang onto the podcast. So I'm glad that it worked out.
Yeah. Wow. That's yeah. So even Khalid was part of this. I feel like the odd man out here now.
Yeah, Joe, why don't you pick up a boom mic or something?
I should have helped. I'm sorry.
We could have used that on some days. That would be great.
No, we definitely could have.
Okay, before we dig into the movie, though, for Matt and Erin, since you two are new to the podcast, Joe, you already did this, but we have kind of an icebreaker for brand new guests where we ask you 2 new guest questions just to kind of get a feel for like your vibe when it comes to like monsters and horror stuff. Would you guys be okay answering a couple questions for us?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so since we're a monster podcast, our first question is, in any corner of pop culture that could be like movies, books, shows, anything, what is your favorite like monster or creature? And if it isn't the same, what would you consider to be the scariest for you?
I was trying to think about that because Khalid kind of warned me this question would pop up. I think for me, maybe Pennywise, the original, just because that was like my first exposure to a horror film. My aunt showed me that when I was probably too young to be seeing stuff like that. Like whenever I would go and stay over her place, she showed me horror films, and it was like one that just stood out to me. And then at scariest, I think like people, like actual, like, I think like human beings are the scariest monsters.
Yeah.
So like, I think of like films like Silence of the Lambs or The Shining or Zodiac, and I think those are the like characters that keep me up at night, because that's
Yeah,
that's
good
just
answer. Good answer. You're talking about the Tim Curry Pennywise, right?
Tim Curry, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
a
new
good
one is problematic for me. I like the first one. The second one, I think, just wasn't
Right.
Yeah.
Good answers. How about you, Erin?
For my favorite monster, I think vampires.
Good choice.
I mean, there's so many different iterations of them and different, aspects of vampires gets highlighted in different films and TV and books. But yeah, I think they're the most fun and also the most unique in terms of like them being really humanized in certain aspects. Which like leads into my next answer for scariest monster is definitely humans, primarily men.
Fair.
I grew up watching a lot of films I shouldn't have as a small child, and the first horror movie that I saw was The Shining when I was 11, and I watched it alone in my room. And there's nothing scarier than an unhinged man.
Wow. Great answer. Great answer. Yeah. But that's a really spooky one to watch alone at 11, isn't it?
I guess so. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up watching like The Matrix when I was 4. Like,
I know. I feel like that's a common thread amongst like at least like me and Khalid and like pretty much anyone we bring on this podcast, we're all like, we watched things way too earlier than we should have, like way younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the opposite. I like remember seeing The Shining for the first time in a hotel room on a like high school trip. I'm scared shitless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a late bloomer when it comes to horror.
I came to The Shining late too, mostly just because like a lot of the stuff I watched was contemporary because like I had immigrant parents, so like they were usually just renting whatever was newest at the time. So The Shining was like before we even came to America.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I guess like when I watched it when I was like 20 something in college, so it wasn't like the most terrifying thing. I think that's for me to this day, like the one that still just like really gives me a run for my money is The Ring.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah. Like that was like my first like PG-13 movie. Yeah. I was just like with these like 3 kids, and I was just like, why did you bring me? Like,
yeah.
All right. Last question for you two. What do you guys consider yourselves most geeky about? Like, what's on your geek card? Can you like discuss at length for like hours on end?
Freaky or geeky?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know, Erin, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, I am a total nerd about historical fashion, which kind of is par for the course. But just all those like weird little facts that, you know, where things come from and why they might be prevalent in our fashion today is really fascinating. And also just loving just to sit in my room in my bed with my cat and do a bunch of research on my computer for no reason.
Love it.
Hoodie?
Matt, do you have any answer to that?
Oh man, I don't know. That's tough. I'm going to be boring and say photography. I think I just take in so much photography on the daily that I'm just obsessed. So I could talk photography for hours.
Develop your shit in your closet. You know?
Yeah.
That's to me, that's nerdy.
Yeah, that's pretty nerdy. Yeah.
It's also not boring. You don't have to like think that's boring. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People not in Hollywood are going to listen to this.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's quite a few.
Fair.
Yeah. Well, thank you two for answering those questions. I appreciate it. Shall we start digging into some Jade here?
Let's do it.
All right. So, Joe, since you are writer director of this film, would you just be willing to give kind of like our listeners like a overview of kind of like maybe like how you came up with this idea, like how it became like came from an idea to like what we saw on screen?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the long route, I think that's a little bit more interesting is just like my like upbringing, which this short draws a lot on. I like grew up very conservative Christian household, so like I was exposed to very little horror. Like I was saying, like I saw The Shining when I was in high school. I like vividly remember seeing Saw when I was like 16, 17. But before these movies, I'd really seen nothing because anything that was genre-wise horror was like literally considered satanic. So I kind of always had a little draw to horror, but very little exposure. And so some of the first things that I really became sort of like infatuated with were like John Carpenter films. Like those were films that always felt safe and like spooky, but not like they just would outright, you know, like scare me. And so, man, when was it? Almost two years ago now at this point. It was fall. I was writing, I was drinking beers, and I had bought this motorcycle summer or two earlier. And I was kind of always like, I need to make something with this, you know, like, I don't know what's going to be, an action movie, a horror movie, a chase scene, blah, blah, blah. And one night kind of just came up with this idea that had been clinking around for a long time. But definitely there was a lot of John Carpenter's Christine that influenced this idea. And then more like recently, I think it had been maybe a year since I'd seen Julia Ducournau's Titane in theaters. But that was a movie that I think in 2021 just kicked my ass. And so that was also floating around up in my brain when I sat down and I wrote Jade.
I was after watching this, I made kind of a list of movies that I was like, the DNA of that is a little bit in this, and I thought of Christine instantly and Titane for sure. But yeah, that's it. Definitely like the homages and kind of the vibe is there, and that's really, it's cool to hear you say those specific movies. I'm like, yeah, I saw that too. That's awesome.
That's fun to hear you say, and it's strange how like when you make something. I mean, I think there's some reservation I had early on of like, is this a rip of Christine? You know, is this not an idea that's worth pursuing because someone's already done it? And I think the further that we dug into it and explored the characters, and I worked with Vinny, who's the lead who plays Abel, you know, I lost any of that kind of insecurity. And I think really for me, one of the coolest moments of losing that was in the opening scene. There's this red car that's on the property where Abel buys Jade, and that car was just there. And it feels, every time I watch it, I think of Christine. I see Christine in that. But that was just part of the location. I went and scouted it, and I remember scouting it and being like, "Oh, this is it. Like, this is supposed to be it."
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That, speaking of that scene, like that first opening sequence where like it's kind of like a long shot where you're kind of just like coming into that house with the guy, and he like walks around the property to first meet Abel, like that opening sequence, that kind of like long, I guess I'm not a director, I don't know much about it, but it felt to me like a single shot. Like that was that one single shot?
Yeah. That was one single shot, operated by our buddy Will Christensen. Yeah.
I thought that was really striking and really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I think it was important for Matt and I to like kick the movie off with something that kind of like let you settle into the world. And we talked a lot about it, of like that shot being Jade's perspective, and her sort of like, you know, moving through time and space to find her next, you know,
searching
kind of victim.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about your inspirations with Christine and Titane, I was like, I like kind of went a little bit down a rabbit hole, speaking of like researching things unnecessarily. So like I was like looking at movies where there's like either evil vehicles or like sexualized vehicles in some capacity. So like I also kind of thought about David Cronenberg's Crash a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Was that on your mind at all?
You know, when I wrote it, not at all. But that is, I almost like, you know, either right now or later we can go through our lists, but that is on my sort of like bigger archetypal list or like influential list. I love that movie. It's fucking insane.
Awesome. And I love that, like previously on the podcast, you were on a Cronenberg movie too. We did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. So yeah, I feel like I want to like talk about the movie like specifically. I guess like for anyone who hasn't seen it, I don't know like when will we release this? Will it be like available when it's available to the public?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I think pretty soon. We just are kind of like wrapping up our festival run. I'm doing a private screening at the beginning of December. Well, I don't know why I said private. It's semi-private. If you want to come, you can come.
I'll be there.
But slide into Joe's
down.
Yeah.
but it should be out there on the internet pretty soon. I would say like the spring for sure.
Okay, cool. And
I was when it comes out.
Yeah. Well, of course, plug it. But I was looking at some of your like festival runs. Like you got many nominations. It's like the Venice Short Films Fest Award winner, Best Cinematography, Hollywood Horror Festival winner, Best Monster Short Film. Like, so you're like, the accolades are coming.
Yeah, we've had a pretty successful run. We just got back from a festival, really cool genre fest called Film Quest in Utah, and saw some other great films. But yeah, it's interesting. It's my first festival run with anything, so I'm learning a lot, and learning which ones you go back to, which ones you avoid, learning how to do the whole song and dance, because it's very different than the filmmaking part.
Oh, I'm sure it's a very different vibe. I guess I saw in like the description. Did you go to the Lovecraft Fest, or is that on your list?
No, yeah, we did. We streamed there. I didn't physically make it. I astral projected, but I had some friends who were there, and they were making me very jealous. It looked like an incredible vibe.
That looks like one I'd love to go to someday. That looks like a fun one.
Yeah.
Cool. Khalid, I feel like you haven't talked a lot yet. What I mean, you guys just watched the screening of this like right before we started recording, right?
Yeah.
What are your kind of like synthesis ideas of this movie?
I mean, story-wise, I think that a lot of it's been covered through what Joe was talking about with like the inception of the idea and his religious background. I think that is all really clear through the movie. I want to try and give Hoodie his time to shine here, because I got some questions for you, man. Like,
Sure.
how did Joe approach you about coming to this project? Visual language wise, like we know his inspirations with regards to Cronenberg and Carpenter. As a DP, how do you come to a project like this when he goes, I got a horror movie about a guy that fucks a haunted motorcycle? What does your eye see when he says that?
Well, that's what I've like come to expect from Joe, I think, is stuff like that. And when Joe presents an idea like that to me, it's an immediate yes for me, because Joe's such a visual director. So I know that there's going to be a lot of opportunities photographically to just explore things that we both like, and just kind of darker tones and, odd themes that maybe people don't normally see in cinema. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for me to like jump on projects with Joe.
Yeah. I loved the first time we see Vinny. I think it's like just that like landscape, like sweeping shot behind him.
Yeah.
Where did you guys shoot that? Because I wasn't with you guys on that day.
That was out in Lancaster. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Sticks.
Dang.
Yep. In the winter when it's always windy and cold and difficult to shoot, but yeah, made it work.
Nice. Erin, same question for you. How were you approached about this project? And correct me if I'm wrong, is this your first time working with Joe on a project, or have you've worked with him a few times?
Yeah.
She's unfortunately been a victim.
I'm pretty much stuck with him. We started working together through music videos, and then we did a like spoken word short film dance piece together, and then we did another short film after that, and then Jade. And yeah, I just kind of go with it, like you just roll with the crazy, which also is, you want to have a lot of good material to work with, and also because Joe and I have worked together so much, there's a lot of trust, so it's easy for me to be like, that is a terrible idea and this is what we should do, or it would kind of just like rolling with whatever he's pitched to me and elaborating on the character and maybe like some costuming that he wouldn't think of or that he wouldn't know about, that like this person in this period of time, if they were living in this area, they were probably wearing something a lot more similar to this than this, so it's very collaborative. And I think also just like doing boring short films is the worst.
There's so many boring short films.
Yeah, like it has to be something that you feel like has narrative and is also going to be beautiful. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
So what spoke to you about this? I can see it from like a guy's point of view, not to entirely
bringing up your gender card.
I don't necessarily want to gender it, but like there's a very gendered approach to this of like, the same way like guys like name cars and motorcycles and boats like after a woman and stuff like that. Like the movie itself kind of makes this like gender line. So like, I guess it's like, what spoke to you about this story versus maybe like a guy who owns a motorcycle?
Well, I actually have a really weird relationship with motorcycles specifically because I always, like my whole childhood, both my parents were like, motorcycles are dangerous, never get on one, blah, blah, blah. And then when I was like 11, my mom was dating someone who was really into motorcycles, and when she was literally 45 decided to learn how to ride bikes. So she did that for like 10 or 12 years and was actually like racing street bikes in races on tracks.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
She came to it late. That's a second act right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's like my relationship with motorcycles. I have a healthy fear of them.
As you should.
Yeah. But I also am really into narratives about cursed objects. I watched Needful Things, which is a film from like forever ago that's about specifically only cursed objects. And I watched that when I was like 7. So immediately I was like, oh, a cursed object, that will be fun and weird. Love that. Also just love freaky films. If it's hot and weird, that's fun.
And thank you for bringing that up. This movie, on top of being kind of horror-esque and everything, is also very sexy. Not least of which is like the way that it was shot and the Vinny of it all. Which
Shout out Vinny.
Vinny, you're hot.
Vinny's a stud. Like we could all say it, but like yeah, I mean it seems like it was really important to you as a director, Joe, to like make the sexual element of this just as compelling as the like horror or the I guess like more fast-paced adrenaline rush parts of it. So can you speak to that a little?
Yeah. I think there's a particular scene and like without getting too into it, I think like it was important for me to read as as like interesting to anyone. And I think also understanding that like so much of this movie is about toxic masculinity and how patriarchy, I think, stems and corroborates with religion often. And so I think I wanted there to be a scene that kind of felt demisexual, a scene that felt like I don't know, especially like particularly like female viewers or viewers who are more into the masculine could like, I don't know, get into. Yeah, I don't have a, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I think that like you do a good job of like kind of turning the male gaze onto itself in this, that in a very subversive and compelling way. I like how you kind of make this parallel with Vinny's mom, which we haven't really talked about yet, who's kind of if it's a two-hander, it's more of a three-hander if you count Jade as a character. Yeah. But Vinny's mom is an interesting parallel to Vinny because it kind of speaks to like, we kind of choose what haunts us. You know what I mean? Like in the same way that like he chooses this motorcycle, she chooses religion, and like they both kind of like use that as an excuse not to like understand each other. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah. No, I really liked you. And also shout out to Susan Ziegler, who played Judith, the mother.
She was great.
She was super good. Yeah.
Incredible on screen, incredible in real life, wonderful woman. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, like the whole story of Jade is about sort of like the duplicity of repression. And so, I think there are a lot of parallels with those two characters. I mean, she's like wheelchair bound. It's implied that, there was potentially a complication in Abel's birth that led her. And so there's a ton of resentment, baked into her not being mobile and her son, who is sort of the source of that. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I forget exactly how you put it, but we choose, or you said
we kind of choose what haunts us.
Yeah, choosing what haunts us and kind of like digging into that. I don't know. On a very personal level, it's like I grew up around a lot of people who had chosen to be haunted by the world and the ideas of sin and damnation, and really like chosen to be sort of haunted by fear. And so that was like a thing that, I wanted to sort of express in this.
Very interesting.
Fascinating, yeah.
I also wanted to just talk about a little bit about Erin and thank her again, and also just talk about the wardrobe, because I think we joke, Erin and I, about just my fashion sense, and I think
Constantly. I'm constantly teasing him. I'm constantly telling him that looks terrible. Take it off right now.
I think I have an okay fashion sense. I mean, I think any director should be able to sort of pick something out. But what I really lean on her for is finding things that fit characters, and unfortunately, we also joke about this. Most of the things that I write and have directed are not these high fashion pieces. So most of the time I'm going, hey, what can we get that looks good, but that I can cover in blood or oil or some viscera? What can we destroy? So this is, I wanted to sort of open up the combo to the costuming and the changes in the costuming, but also apologize to Erin for always having her have to costume these projects where there is not a lot of dynamism.
Yeah, I was just giving him shit 3 days ago, being like, "Oh, great, you're writing something else that has nothing for me to play with."
And blood, so we need doubles, so it can't be a cool look.
Yeah, it's not exactly Phantom Thread over here.
But yeah, I can talk about kind of the process and how it ended up, being portrayed in the film. Basically, Joe, pitched this kind of super nerdy dude who's going to college and lives with his mom and is obviously very repressed by religion. And kind of how he goes through this insane journey and transformation into this absolute hard-ass maniac who's obsessed with this fucking motorcycle, literally. And it takes place in 1988. So I kind of played with that, and Joe and I went through some images and mood boards after looking at his treatment of kind of how prominent we wanted that to be. And that also really ties into the production design and the cinematography and how period is this period piece. So I kind of just I did a lot of research, obviously, and then I just really followed my gut in kind of making it nuanced, just with similar cuts and similar colors to that time period, especially since they aren't exceptionally wealthy, that he's probably wearing older clothes anyways, which can make it look, either early 80s or late 70s. And so, yeah, we went through that. We did fittings with the three main characters, or with the two main characters.
Yeah.
And then Malachi, I kind of just guesstimated.
That was the guy at the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who sold him the bike. And I think that it was really fun to play with how much he changes. Obviously, Vinny is very talented and really is comfortable in acting like a crazy person, which we love about him.
He's got range.
He does. Also, because he's a trained dancer, I think that physicality really, really lends to the character in the film. But yeah, we had kind of just gone over how detailed and how dramatic we wanted the change to be. And I reached out to a vintage dealer in New York who I know and sourced a late 70s, early 80s vintage leather jacket. And I just really liked the cut of it and how weathered it was. You can kind of it's kind of hard to see in the film, but you can see that kind of where the sleeve to the waist is. It's kind of that expanded bat shape that was very popular in the 80s. And it also looks really fucking good on him.
Getting Bruce Springsteen vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was really fun to play with. And then I aged and distressed a lot of Vinny's clothes. And then for Abel's clothes, and then also for Malachi, I did tea baths. I did distressing on his shirt and his pants, and then cover them both with things that looked like grease that were not. Yeah, and it was fun to collaborate, but also there's a level of trust where Joe was like, yeah, okay, that seems right.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the nicest parts about working with incredibly talented people like Erin and Matt, are that when I'm thinking about something else or producing, day 5 of 8, I can go, hey, we need to figure this out. And I know that it's going to happen.
I will say, yeah, having been lucky enough to be on set with you a few times now over the years, like you, one, surround yourself with more or less the same team each time, which I think is important for your growth as much as everyone around you. But yeah, the way that you lean on and collaborate on set is just like it's inspiring to see. It's cool. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like a maniac, so it's if you're lying to me, keep lying to me. I got one more sidebar, and then sorry, I'll let you guys podcast host.
This is what a podcast is all about. Like sidebar as much as you want.
Mischo, take the wheel.
No, I just have just like a good segue. So like Vinny, incredible. Like love him to death. One of the coolest happy accidents that happened on this movie was we shot almost all of it in a big chunk in January. And then for whatever reasons, a sequence that I was not confident in going into that shoot for a lot of reasons. And part of it was we just didn't have the budget to execute it. We ended up having to come back like 8-9 months later and shoot this final scene. And so part of Vinny's character's transformation in the film is going from being this very like nerdy, quiet, insular type to this macho, over the top, toxic, masculine character. Mm-hmm. And in that 9-month window, Vinny, who's working on a bunch of other projects, dancer, does martial arts, lifts weights, had just bulked up. And so when we went and shot this final sequence, that is one of the last scenes in the movie where he's like shirtless, covered in blood. It was just so serendipitous and worked so well that he physically had actually gone through this transformation, which is like one of those things that as a director, you're like, yeah. Let's like shoot everything, and then let's wait 9 months and like bulk him up. But you can never, you can never do it. Yeah. And this just worked its way out, True. So it was very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That is cool to hear.
And I mean, yeah, when you put it that way, it is kind of like there's almost like a werewolf-esque kind of thing to it about like, just like this thing curses you and then like it makes you like your best version of you, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta ask the boner.
Can I tell the story?
Oh yeah, you can tell the little the nugget.
Okay. Tell us all about the boner. I want to hear about the inception.
I have all the details.
Good.
So we were shooting on a morgue set, and it was Joe, Matt, and I, and we were just setting up and kind of marking it. And I obviously it was like, I think it was like midnight or 1 a.m.
This is the last day of like our main shoot. So I think it was like we had shot like 7 days in a row. And we were I was out of my mind. I think we were all pretty done.
And so I'm basically assisting and marking it and
acting.
And I do make a cameo of the very beautiful person who you can't see their face and they're pulling up the gloves in the morgue. That is me.
Oh, nice.
That's an exclusive for you guys. And we were spitballing, and Joe really wanted to do a boner for Vinny's corpse, and we had something that just like wasn't working, and I was laying on the morgue table and they were trying to figure it out on camera. And there just happened to be on set of one of those like test tube beakers, the cylindrical ones. Mm-hmm. And then we had prop eyeballs in case we needed them for Vinny because, his eyes are fucked. Yeah. And so we're fully delirious on set, and we just decided that putting the faux eyeball onto the beaker created this shape. So that's how the boner was born.
Inspired.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like it's an interesting thing too, because like I went back and forth with like whether, because we had a version where there was no erection, and like went back and forth with like, oh, is this whatever?
Does it like undercut it?
Sophomoric?
Yeah.
Does it undercut it?
Yeah.
Is it stupid? And it's funny, like as this film like got closer and closer to being done, there's this Walter Benjamin quote that like really resonated with me and actually kind of informs a lot of the final act. But in it, Benjamin is talking about this painting, a Klee painting called Angelus Novus. And in the painting, there is a character whose like mouth is wide open, almost as if it's gasping or screaming. And so the more that like I kind of got into this image of the character at the end of this having a moment of like looking back at history, at time, the erection kind of just seemed like it needed to add some levity to like the deeper meaning that I had given everything. And I'm glad I did. I think it's like, it keeps it silly. It keeps it fun.
Is it a unanimous? Everybody's happy with the boner cut?
Yeah, even to the last cut, like before we picture locked, I was telling Joe, I was like, I don't know about the boner. Should we take it out? But I'm so glad it stayed, because every time we've seen other people watch the film, like it always gets a good reaction. So definitely glad he didn't listen to me on that.
I mean, I don't know if the title's been taken, but you could always call it Die Hard.
That's true. That is true.
It's available.
TM that.
Yeah.
Um,
I have to say, as a viewer who's like not been part of the set or the cast or anything like that, like completely removed, like I was pro boner.
Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me feel good.
Yeah, and I really like Erin's take on it too. Like I know, like Joe, you went into like some deep like meaning of why you kept the boner, but I like her. She was just like, Joe really wanted the boner, so we like made it work.
Well, I mean,
Let's call it what it
To
is.
be fair, like I also, just to set the scene, it was very late and I was fading fast, and so we were doing camera tests, and I'm fully just laying on the morgue table for 45 minutes and completely start falling asleep. And Joe comes over and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "It's so comfortable. I never want to get up." But I just felt so at home in the morgue. I think we just made it work.
Yeah, and it was written into the script, but I, in like the delirium of a 7-day shoot, had completely forgot to bring the prop cock. And this is true. And so like when that happens, and then you stumble upon a beaker and an eyeball that make a pretty convincing, cock shape, that to me is like the same thing as the red car at the beginning of the movie. It's like, well, this is meant to be. Like
you
this,
have
we gotta
to
roll
do
with this
it.
shit.
yeah.
It's fate.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can I ask you about a specific scene? And I know we're not trying to get too many. I don't know. Right? We're whatever spoilers now.
Oh no.
But,
yeah.
I loved the sequence when he dips his 2 fingers into the oil.
I was there for that day.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you were, Khalid. It was so sultry in the best way, and then he eats it, and it's like a great sequence. But I just got to know, like, what was it? What was the material?
We were like just talking about this, and there's some debate over whether or not it was corn syrup or honey. I think it was a mixture.
Interesting.
We did mix it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do know that it was mostly corn syrup, only because
The volume. We needed
Okay.
we needed a lot of it. Also, we had chocolate syrup for some reason.
Oh,
and
always got it.
I don't know if that was maybe mixed in to make it look more ambery, because corn syrup is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Vinny did a lot of takes of that too.
Yeah, he ate
much of that.
So,
a lot of that.
Sorry, Ben.
I hope it tasted good. You guys like chocolate syrup and honey. It probably tasted really good.
He was trying to say something about how he had a stomach ache. Or
Oh.
I don't know, but I think it was a good experience for him.
Yeah.
We're worth it in the character building. Yeah. So can you speak to the music? Because I really don't want to go through this discussion without praising it. It was
Oh yeah.
The soundtrack was phenomenal.
top to bottom, such a
Yeah.
good score, soundtrack.
Yeah. So Mike Forrest is a good friend of mine now. I had actually listened to an album of his on Spotify. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, Hypnagogia. And he is a composer, a musician. And I reached out to him and sent him the movie and was kind of like, hey, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm realizing that all this temp score I've laid in is, can't be the final product. So like, are you interested in talking? And Mike and I like immediately connected on honestly a lot of, he knew half of the temp score, which was really brilliant and made me feel like, okay, this is the guy. Like if he already knows the composers that I'm ripping, I think he can be the one. But yeah, Mike went deep and hard. A lot of I didn't even mean that. A lot of like the sounds of Jade. And I hope they both forgive me, but our sound designer Chase Everett and Mike, a lot of those sounds are kind of a combination of score and sound design. And Mike did some really cool things, I believe with a cello. That he had processed to kind of build this creature growl and like shudder that worked for me brilliantly.
Yeah, I loved all of it. I loved there's that synth score. Is it near the beginning? I think it was.
Yeah. Yep.
Really, that to me was like very Carpenter in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe I'm just basic, but like I got like a hint of Trent Reznor with some of the music too.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a dog song. No, actually, sorry, a 2022 song. The name of the song is Dog, but that is like featured in the shower scene, which gives some Trent vibes for sure.
For sure. And then my last question, I guess, is how far into the process were you when you wanted to do like the non-principal photography stuff in terms of like the effects that like they would cut away to? I guess it's like, what is it like film burning? What is that? Can you speak to like how you visualized it? I guess it's like Jade, like kind of mind melding with Vinny's character. Is that the idea?
Yeah, are you speaking to like
He's talking about the solar flare?
Yeah, the flare. That's it.
Yeah, the flares. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At the end. That was actually something that kind of came through after like principal photography. This is also one of those things of, this is a little bit of a backstory, but when I wrote this, I was like really challenging myself to write something without my producer hat on. Like I've produced for a while, and often when I sat down to write, it was always me limiting what the scene was, what the action was, because, well, I'll never get $50,000 to throw a black arm on a fucking SUV and rip around in the desert. And with this one, I really challenged myself not to do that. So I wrote it. And the end of the original draft had Abel, ripping down the interstate on the motorcycle and basically like his eyes exploding out of his head.
I remember that in the script, yeah.
While he was on the bike. And after we shot our principal photography and went back and kind of were trying to figure out, what we could do about that, I think Matt and I, kind of realized, oh, maybe this is a better thing to tell a little bit more metaphorically. And so when we did shoot that final scene, those inserts like were planned to be put in there. But the ending of the movie really did change from principal photography until like we shot our pickup days.
And how did you, like on a practical level, do the solar flares? Was that like just footage that you altered in post? Was it like CGI, VFX?
That's just like footage that we sourced.
Nice. That looks great. And definitely it adds to a very like climactic ending.
Yeah.
There was also kind of a little bit of that when early on during the motorcycle intercourse sequence too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of stuff that I was playing with. Man, do I want to? Oh, fuck it. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
So some of those images, and I have to caveat this, like, don't love it, really don't love it at all. But there's a few images in this movie that are affected by AI. And the very few, the three that are in that sequence. There's also, and knock on wood, we don't get any copyright infringement. There's also an image from the movie Shame in this film. It is incredibly like reduced, filtered, augmented to be like indistinguishable. But if you can catch it, I'll Venmo you $10.
Fassbender's at home.
Yeah.
Like you're on.
Wow.
Love it. Joe, any other questions for other Joe?
Which Joe are you talking to?
You, Joe. Why would the director ask you questions?
Yeah, Joe, what's Minnesota like right now?
It's getting cold.
I bet it's getting cold here.
It's getting cold. I guess like my big question is like kind of what's next. I mean, you talked about some festival runs, but like I know sometimes it sounds like this was kind of a complete project for you, but like sometimes I know when we've talked to people who've made short films, they're like, I made this and I hope to like expand on this idea and make it into a longer film in the future. Like, do you have plans to like make this into something like a longer feature, or is this kind of like, this is the product as is?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's interesting. I think I wrote this as what I thought was a singular piece. And I think somewhat to a fault. There's like 3 acts really fucking smashed together in 15 minutes. And so, yeah, the plan right now is to lock myself away at some point in January and write the feature. I have an outline. It's significantly different and a much larger cast relative to the short. But yeah, the idea is to write this feature and then kind of shop it around and see what happens. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think it was a good exercise too to kind of like build this world out, and while I did it too, I mean, this is really like, it's my second short film. It feels like the first attempt at building like a bigger world. And I think some of the things that I really enjoyed the most were that world building, character building, and understanding that 97 minutes, 112 minutes, are going to give me a lot larger playground to really like flesh out these ideas.
Yeah. Well, I'm just watching this 15-minute short film, like looking at the skill that was in it, from all 3 of you, really like the cinematography, like the directing, the writing, the costuming, like just the way that it all comes together. Like, I hope that all of you like remember Frankenstein podcast, not if, but when you guys make it big. So come back to us for your big debuts.
Oh, we will. Yeah. I just also, I think like one of the biggest kind of pieces of feedback that I keep on getting are the way that this movie looks. So, hats off to Matt. He has put up with me for a very long time, but I think shooting something like this with him was really special for me, just as a kind of like moment of maturation, I think, in the way that we've worked together, and taking a swing at a bigger project with a more cohesive visual language. So appreciate you, buddy.
Love you, dude.
Love
you guys.
This does really, like, it again, like I said it earlier, but the fact that you guys have worked together for so long, this movie just feels like a logical evolution from where you've started. And what I love about it, and what I always hope to find when I like know a certain type of director is working on the project, is like, is this the kind of thing that only you could tell? And you really succeeded with that with this. I see Joe through the movie, and that's not always an easy thing to do, especially like with limited resources. But just watching it with you guys in there, it looks like it was made for like 10 times the amount that it was. So just hats off.
Well, you don't know how much it was made for. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a rough idea. I was there. The crafty sucked. No, but yeah, just
He's not lying.
yeah. No. I say all that to say hats off because, like, really, it's
Thanks,
very
man.
well done.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's really cool. So Joe, you kind of told us about what your plan is next. I guess before we close off, this is a space for like any of you guys to plug any upcoming projects or anything like Matt or Erin. Is there anything you guys got going on coming up?
I have another film that's doing a festival run right now called Never Let You Go. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully available to people to watch probably beginning of next year. Supposed to shoot a feature, but I think everybody's always supposed to shoot a feature, and we're waiting on funding. So maybe a feature for me in the 2025.
All right.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah, we got Jade feature hopefully done by January. This will help too. I can have people harassing me if I don't actually do it, and then I'm putting together like what I think is a really interesting micro horror short that's going to be shot all on FPV drones. So if you have American dollars, if you have money, yeah, let me know. Matt and I are hopefully going to be shooting that also in January.
Erin, anything coming up for you?
You can follow me on Instagram, I guess.
Yeah.
My website has my other work. I'm a lot better about posting more of my narrative pieces on my website, so maybe don't judge my Instagram off of that. But if you'd like to see any of my like music videos or editorials or campaigns or whatever, that's on there.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's just my first and last name, Erin Kobrin.
Perfect. We'll link it in the show notes, I assume, Joe.
We will.
Hoodie, do you have anywhere you want people to find you, follow you?
Yeah, I'm on the Instagram, and you can look up my website. It's just matthoodhood.com, and let's collaborate. Let's make art.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you all three of you for being willing to come chat. This is like I mentioned early on, like having the creatives on to talk about the thing they created is just kind of like a special privilege that this like podcast has like kind of brought us to. So it was a delight to chat with you. And honestly, like as Joe already knows, like you can come back whenever if you have a project relating to like our topic, like come back on and chat about it. We'd love to have you back.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
It's been great.
Thank you. Are we doing What the Fandom this time?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I love What the Fandom.
Well, we have one more. We have one final segment of the podcast, everybody. Our final segment is our What the Fandom segment, in which we share 1 to 2 things that we are currently into at the moment that may or may not have anything to do with horror, monsters, or any of that, but also can. So don't rule that out. Anyway, Khalid, what the fandom with you this week?
Thanks for asking, Joe. My What the Fandom this week, I'll split it. Last night, friend of the podcast, Eric, and my roommate, was finally finishing up The Sopranos. So I watched the last 2 episodes of that with him. And then after that, we decided to watch The Sopranos documentary, The Wise Guy. And it's kind of about David Chase, but also more broadly just about like how the show came to be. And it's told over 2 episodes, coming in at about 2.5 hours total. It's really amazing. If you're just a person that's breathing and like of a certain age, like The Sopranos is an inescapable piece of media. And like, I keep coming back to it in terms of like, as somebody who really wants to be better at writing, like that is just such a great template for like what feels like realistic lived in writing in terms of characterization. And so to get to see like how they went through the process of casting that and then hearing how like the writer's room worked and really just like a lot of things I hadn't considered, like, oh yeah, like they were writing about like genuinely awful racist people, which means that to an extent that writer's room had to be like problematic by today's standards. And it's it's a fascinating rumination on all of that. And to have someone as thoughtful as David Chase kind of like steering that ship, it just gave me like a newfound appreciation for property that I have just like really held in high esteem for several years now. So The Wise Guy, it's on HBO if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of The Sopranos, or maybe you're just looking for an excuse to dive into it finally. That's a really good way to do it. And then my other recommendation is going to be another TDE album released this last week. Absol is a rapper that I have been fond of for years as well, and he just dropped his latest album, Soul Burger. It is really, really good. Like everything TDE has dropped this year, I think this will be like my fourth What the Fandom. I think we've done Doechii, what is it, Schoolboy Q, and there's probably one more person I'm not thinking of right now off top, but just that whole label is just doing wonders for music, especially music for 30 somethings. I personally, maybe I'm biased, but I just don't, I feel like there's not enough of that. There's a lot of just marketing to teenagers, and I'm not that anymore. So yeah, check out Soul Burger. It's really great. It's got a nice West Coast flow. It's a maturation to it that if you've been like listening to someone like Absol since like the Black Hippie days, you'll appreciate. And yeah, those are my two What the Fandoms. Joe, what the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Khalid. I got two also this week. My first one is a book I just wrapped up. I was, as many of you know, I like horror stories, but just finished a story from the horror writer Darcy Coates. And this is actually one of her like early stories that she's kind of had in the bank for a while and finally re-released. It's called Ghost Camera. So I think who's our friend Matt? You were into photography. It's all about photography.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's basically it's a short story. It's about 100 and some pages, but it's the premise is that it's about a woman who is doing wedding photography who finds like a kind of an abandoned Polaroid and then takes a picture through it and then realizes like once she sees the developed Polaroid, there's like ghostly figures, and every time she takes a picture, the ghostly figures start to like look like they're noticing her taking the pictures more and more. And the idea is that like it's one of a couple ghost cameras out there that can kind of like make this bridge between our world and the ghost world. And then like every time it's used, you basically make like an imprint, and like ghosts start to notice you because of it, and they can kind of like start to interact with you more and more. And the horror of it gets a little more spooky as the time goes on. It was quite fun. It was a good spooky season read. So I would recommend that one, Ghost Camera by Darcy Coates. The other recommendation I have is I've recommended this show before on the pod, but I finally got through season 2 just recently. My wife Nicole and I, was also joined on the other podcast with you, Joe, with the Brood.
Yeah.
We just finished watching Surreal Estate season 2.
Mm.
Which is a fun, really fun, like Canadian, like supernatural kind of pseudo horror show. I'd say like a little comedy in there, but stars Tim Rozon and Sarah Levy, both who are in Schitt's Creek, great actors. But they're like a kind of real estate agency who specialize in like haunted houses. So like it's got this like episodic vibe to it, kind of like old school like Buffy or Angel, where it's like monster of the week kind of, but there's also overarching plots. And there's like the kind of like fun like research, like what kind of haunt is this, what kind of spook is this, and like they have the specialists on their team, like the sciencey guy and the research guy, and it's very fun, like classic vibes that just kind of feels like a comfort for me sometimes to watch, where it's like episodic, like monster of the week, like I said, but like still like fun, like spooky horror stuff. And so I had a blast with that. Like season 2 just dropped on Hulu. I think you could watch it. Disney Plus also has it, but I did hear that they got greenlit for a season 3. I believe it's a sci-fi original technically. So fortunately they're keeping it going. I know sci-fi doesn't have the best track record with keeping good shows going, but season 3 is in the works. So definitely check out Surreal Estate if you like cool, classic, spooky stuff. So those are my 2 for the week. I'll hop it over to you, Joe. What the fandom with you?
Whew. I mean, the thing I can't get out of my mind, a film that I'm just so excited for and have been for a while, Moana 2. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm really sorry about that. No, I mean, I think the thing that I can't stop listening to to for the past couple weeks has been this new Godspeed You Black Emperor album. It is no title as of 13 February 2024, 28,340 dead. It's a banger. That's the title. You can also just search Godspeed and you'll find it. Beautiful, melodic, feels like unfortunately a soundtrack fitted for these times. And then the one of the last books that I read that really stuck with me was Parable of the Sower, an Octavia Butler book.
Yeah.
Can't recommend it enough. It's a fictional kind of future account of what the United States may look like, is sort of looking like. But Octavia is just incredibly eloquent and wonderful, and I really like the hope that she brings to narratives that are not so cheery.
Great recommendations.
Yeah. Matt, what the fandom with you?
What the fandom with me? So my wife, Caitlin, and I have revisited one of our all-time favorite shows recently because we just needed something light. So Pen 15, if you guys have not seen it, go see it. It will make you feel good. It's if you grew up in the 90s or the 2000s, or even if you're just, need a good laugh, it's amazing. It's two adult women playing junior high students, and they're so good you just forget that they're acting with children the entire time. And it gets really weird, and I just love it. It's great.
Have you ever seen Chad?
No.
Oh, it's Nassim Pedrad. She basically does the same thing, but like her whole thing is like, what if Michael Scott was in middle school? And also just like a self-hating Arab kid. So he like changes his very like Arab name to Chad.
Love it.
I think you'd like that. It's very Pen 15 comedy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds my speed.
Erin, what the fandom with you?
I have two things. First thing, I have to preface that Joe is equally obsessed, but
More obsessed.
maybe more
I'm
obsessed.
going to the Q&A.
Seeing The Substance
Ooh,
was an incredible experience. It's so well rounded with the cinematography and the costumes, and the production design is fabulous, and the performances are so fun and unhinged, and the gore is just the right amount where you don't feel nauseous, but it's beautifully gory.
Yeah.
Beautifully gory.
Yeah. And then the second thing is I've been listening to The Creatures a lot, which is Susie Sue's like first band before she like went into Susie and the Banshees. So if you're feeling any amount of rage or discomfort, it is really beautiful and very drum heavy, and a lot of wailing, which sometimes we all need.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I'm overdue for a whale, I'll be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of The Substance, there needs to be a whole episode just on Monstro
Yes.
Elizasu that
Yeah.
burned into my mind. It
Oh my
changed
God.
my year.
Yeah.
It really did.
I just loved watching people walk out like in the theaters. Did you guys get that at all?
Yeah.
Like that's like that's
Dang,
the
it's
part
like
that
that?
drove people
Yeah.
out.
Have you not seen it?
I have not seen
Oh,
it.
go see it.
You're
It's
gonna
so
die.
good.
All right.
It is so beautiful and
Yeah.
brilliant, and see it in the theater.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
with other people, it adds
Kraska,
to it
have you
so
seen it?
much.
I haven't, but I've been recommended by people who listen to this podcast, that we should do an episode on it already. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah.
You guys
It's
are
a
gonna like
must-watch.
change
I'm-
the name of the podcast after
Yeah.
Welcome to
Oh
the
my God.
Substance Cast.
So like that's crazy that you say that though. Like the people walking out, like I feel like sometimes you hear like that's like hyperbole, like, oh, so many people walked out, but like you're actually seeing people walk out.
No, literally,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're so close to the end. I'm like, you couldn't just hang on, but they do.
Oh hell yeah.
They just go so hard at the end. I think that people like were hanging on by a thread, and like the people next to us just couldn't deal. They were out.
it's,
Oh,
it's,
man.
it's a movie that like honestly most of my favorite movies that just like it turns the dial up constantly and it never stops.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like there is a bit of like build up that by the end of the movie you are, I mean,
Yeah, it's a
depending on who you
release.
are, there's a release at the end of the film for sure.
Yeah. And it never stops releasing.
Until
I love it.
Yeah. French women though, like future of horror for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so fun.
I'm excited for that for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for all those amazing recommendations. I'm very excited to see The Substance now. This is like the third or fourth time someone's recommended it to me too. So I think I just gotta stop ignoring the signs.
Now there's no way it can live up to your expectations.
Exactly. I'm gonna be like unimpressed. But no, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was really great. It was awesome to get to watch it with you guys.
It was fun.
That was awesome too. And we should remind listeners that we do have a Patreon. If you want to go and become a patron, we have tiers. Is it $1, $3, $7?
Do it. Do the $7 one.
Do the $7 tier. You've got them. We're all flush with cash these days. Don't even play. But no, seriously, if you'd like to become a patron, we do have extra episodes on there. We call them Franken Bits. It's where Joe and I kind of stretch our conversational muscles and talk about more than we jack each other off. Yeah, sorry, he was doing a jack off motion.
Thanks for the description, Khalid.
Yeah. Anyways, we don't do that.
Just once in a while.
Yeah, we do that off pod.
I subscribe to a lot of Patreons, and I'm just saying it seems not that abnormal. So.
Okay, maybe it's metaphorically masturbatory. Anyways, I don't know if you're gonna want to now, but please donate. But yeah, thank you guys so much. This has been such a fun way to discuss a project, and thank you to everybody who listened at home. Until next time, creep it easy.